begin. Yay, and we are live. Hi, guys, and welcome back
Everyone.
to Reads Readers, where we're having our live show for Fiction Falls for this stunning book, because it is really pretty.
Jess with Barnes and Noble Special Edition.
I actually like the blue better. This was on sale. It's the only reason I have this one and not the blue one.
And we're going to kick it off with our introductions and star ratings, and I will let Amanda kick us off.
Hi everyone. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Amanda from Amanda's Booktopia here on YouTube, and you can also find me on Instagram as FireGal17. And I absolutely sorry about that. Don't know where, but I absolutely loved this book. This is like a new favorite for me. Like 5, 6 star, however many stars I could give it. That's how many stars I would give this book. I adored it. I saw so many comparisons to Addie LaRue, and I thought this was better than Addie LaRue in my opinion. So I will be rereading this, and even though I'm not an annotator and I don't like writing in books, I'm still like I want on a reread. I want to go back and at least tab because there's so many good quotes in this book.
Okay, following that up, I'm just from Honest Fiction, for those of you who aren't familiar. And also, I think it's Honest Fiction Club on Instagram. I primarily read like fantasy romance and dark contemporary romance. I was very excited about this. I ended up reading this in one sitting. I did end up giving it a 2.75. So I will explain my reasoning, but I do agree. I thought the writing was very beautiful. And it did give me all of the Addie LaRue vibes. I just had a lot of issues with some characters and an ending and things like that.
Well, hi guys. If you don't know who I am, I'm Clint. You're on my channel, Reads Readers. Both Amanda and Jess are linked down below. Amanda gave this a 6 star. Something about this book, I can't even tell you why I gave it a 6 star. Anything less than that didn't feel right. Something about these characters I just connected. And I kind of agree. I like this a lot better than Addie LaRue, and that is saying a lot coming from me. I think that it was more so of the whole. It wasn't the fact of everybody forgets who Addie is while they die, and everyone they loved no longer can have them. So it's like kind of different in that sense. I had a few issues here and there, but overall journey, I loved this. So, but I love discussing books when we don't all agree,
right?
Because it makes it that much more fun.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
Hi, Dana. Hi, Lori. Lori said she gave it a low 4-star.
It's in the comments.
Dana says, I was really excited to read this one. Unfortunately, it wasn't the journey for me. I gave it 2 stars, which is understandable. I get why people might not like this. It is kind of slow at parts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, and sometimes I can agree with the fact that some people don't like just character journey.
This is very character driven.
This is very character, not really plot.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm starting to realize how much I love character-driven stories.
Same. Well, speaking of the characters, let us talk about Arden and Evelyn. What was y'all's thoughts on Arden? We'll start with him.
Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of Arden at first because of everything he was hiding from Evelyn. But once we found out why, I liked him that much more because he was trying to protect them.
I didn't really have a read on him at all, so I feel like that was kind of my issue with this. Is I wanted to really like Arden, but I didn't understand why he was holding information back. It was just, I was almost frustrated by both characters throughout most of this book. And I feel like at the end, I didn't get a good enough reason for why he wasn't just being as forthcoming with her. But as just, if I get past the frustration of like that, I did like him as a character. I actually liked him a little bit more than Evelyn. And the fact that he was able to remember and she wasn't, I thought that was an interesting component for like, or their dynamic. Because he essentially like, I don't want to get into like too many spoilers, but yeah, that's kind of my feelings towards it.
I will say it's a live show.
Okay, so we're
People
full
who
spoiler.
come,
Yeah,
people
full
who
spoilers.
come when we start the questions, people should understand by now.
Okay.
We are high on spoilers, so if
I was
you
on a
haven't
live
read,
show and I had no idea the first half was spoiler free, the second half was spoilers, and I just jumped in and then I felt terrible. So okay.
we
Oh,
talk a lot,
yeah,
so I
that's
think
fine.
people need to start. They'll understand at some point. We're highly spoiler.
Oh yeah,
heavy in
anytime we
all
do a
of our
live show,
lives.
well, like anytime we read a book and we do a live show, we always say like at the beginning, you know, full spoilers ahead. So
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Full spoilers
No,
ahead.
you're all good. But yeah, no, I mean, I liked it, the fact that he essentially was trying be not make her fall in love with him, but make her trust him every time. And like, I liked that dynamic of his character, and I liked him as a character. I just wanted a little bit more.
And I know we have some
get that.
comments real fast. Karina joined us. Hey, Karina. She says,
Karina.
hey, friends. I'll be a little absent, but I gave this 2 stars. Dana's like, craziest thing is I'm more of a character-driven story person, but these characters were flat.
I think that's what I was trying to say, but I couldn't get it out. But yeah, that's exactly my feelings as well. I feel like for a character-driven story, I didn't get very much of either of their personalities or character.
I needed more from the history and why they even like each other, to be honest. There was no substance to their romantic connection for me. I'm glad y'all liked it, but more than Addie, I can't even begin to comprehend that. I can understand why people would say Addie is a lot better. But I also have to agree with something that me and Amanda have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
This also gives Fallen vibes by Lauren Kate.
And if you haven't read it, I highly, highly, highly recommend that series. It's YA.
Super popular during Twilight era.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, I've never read it. I just checked the cover.
Honestly, I think Fallen is even better than this book that we're talking about now. Only because I really connected to those characters. And I
don't think we could really compare.
Head over heels with the whole plot. And I was obsessed with that series from beginning to end. And I feel like it should be given more love. It recently, if you have AMC Plus, they just recently put up a series, like a show, based off of Fallen. So if you haven't read Fallen, I recommend reading it first and then trying it out. And then there's also a movie that's on Netflix. The movie's older, but it's same thing basically.
And make sure you have the right Fallen movie, because the other Fallen book series, which the main character is a guy, I think it's by Christopher Pike, has a movie as well.
Okay.
And they're both called Fallen.
And they're both called Fallen. Not confusing at all.
I know. They both came out around the same time. They're both about fallen angels who fall in love and can't have the person that they love.
Yeah. Fallen is more paranormal than this book.
Yeah.
Has anyone, either of you or anyone in the comments, read Peaches and Honey? It's very similar to Addie LaRue. It's essentially the plot of Addie LaRue. But I feel like for the people in the comments that are saying they weren't crazy about this, but they liked Addie LaRue, I would give Peaches and Honey a try. Because that's my top book, like, ever.
It was on my wish list because of your recommendation on one of your videos, and now it's out of print. So I'm like, what am I going to do?
It's out of print?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's about to get traditionally
At least the physical copies are.
Yeah, it's probably getting trad pub then.
And I agree with Lori on this about the whole liking Addie better because a lot of people have cried at Addie, but I cried at this.
I did too.
At what points?
It was towards the end, and it was more of them. It's more about her than it was their relationships that I was
Yeah,
crying
agreed.
about someone who was born in a situation where she wasn't supposed to love, but she learned the capability of love. And in my head, I took that as basically, if we put that in today's time period, someone who comes from a very abusive place and they learned to grow from that and learn to love themselves and someone else. And I think that's why I like this so much is I related so heavily with Evelyn
I did too.
through with how much I got bullied and stuff when I was in high school and stuff like that. And I'm learning now being married, what it truly means to be loved and actually learning to fully accept that love because you are worthy of it. So I think that's why I heavily identified with her character. Arden, I was the up and down. He could be there, he could not be there kind of thing for me
Yeah,
until towards the end.
same. Absolutely the same for me. And since we're on the topic of Evelyn, she's the one I connected to the most also, just because, in past relationships and I've always had trust issues with growing up with a lot of different people, and so like Evelyn also having those same issues, like I felt like I was her in a way, and how she really, really adored her sister in this life, in her current life that she's in. The way she was there for her through everything kind of reminded me of the way Ray, my fiance, has been for me. Like he's been my rock, and like her sister's been her rock. So it is with so many parallels to my own life. So that's probably why I love this book so much. And I get why other people wouldn't, because not everybody has the same parallels.
Mhm.
Like some people who are not in that kind of situation would be like, this ain't for me." And I understand that because I can see why not everyone would um, fall in love with Evelyn because of the decisions that she's made. But because I've been in similar situations, that's probably
Mhm.
why I loved it as much as I did.
I will relate it to a conversation I had in my Bala Live show yesterday with Jasmine, where we were talking about having the right book at the right time.
Hmm.
And I think this book, at least for me and Amanda, was the perfect book at the perfect time.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
And
definitely.
sometimes it's hard to explain why we love it.
I feel like I had that similarity with Wolf Song. Like I read that at like the perfect time, and that's why that one
I
has like
mean,
yes, I know you can relate.
the amount of editions I have.
Yes, but like I read that during a time that it was just such a good moment for me to read it that it's like a special place in my heart. And I didn't have that connection with this one, unfortunately. But I am happy that you guys loved it.
See,
Yeah.
and I can use that as an example for Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
I DNF'd it multiple times before I finally read it for the book club.
Yeah.
And that's now one of my favorite series.
Yep. Same thing. Glint also. I DNF that book so many, or I'm sorry, Guild so many times. I love that series now, but I could not stand. I couldn't get through it originally.
Yeah, I used to, every time I DNF'd it, it was like 100 or 150 pages. It was always at the same spot.
Yep.
So I'm like, and then I finally read it for the book club, and I was like, oh my God, why did I not finish this?
Sometimes that's the best though.
Dana says Evelyn's love for her family is admirable. I really enjoyed how much she loves her mom and sister in the main timeline. As far as the chemistry with the two main characters felt very non-existent.
I feel like
I
we
felt
were
like
told
I'm
they
sorry.
loved each other. I'm sorry. I feel like we were told they loved each other more than
Mhm.
like there's one cute scene I remember with them laying in bed together and like they're comforting each other, but at the same time I found that scene very intimate. It was like the first like bit of romance we got. I also was like, why is this happening? Like, why do they have this connection? It came out of nowhere. So
The only issue I would say about that scene was the fact that yes, they were intimate, but wasn't she also handcuffed to the bed? So
oh
it
my god,
wasn't
was she?
like
I forgot that.
she wasn't that part of the whole where she wasn't allowed to like leave the bed? So was she really in that bed of her own free will in that kind of a moment? So I'm like, not to ruin that moment for those of us who love that book,
Yeah.
and I
Right.
love that scene, but I kept having to remind myself that when she was in his room and in the bed, he kept handcuffing her so that she wouldn't try to kill him or try to leave.
I think the scene from what doesn't she call him over to her though? I think that's what happens in the scene I'm thinking of.
Mhm.
Where like okay.
I think she did call him
I
over,
think
but I
she
think she
okay.
was still handcuffed to the bed.
But she was handcuffed. Yeah, that's a very good point. I totally forgot that. But yeah,
I,
so that's I didn't love their romance, like them together.
Dana also
yeah.
says the different timelines were very cool, but I felt at the same time same thing over and over again.
I think
Agreed.
that's the point of the book, though, is to show like their relationship was stagnant throughout the different time periods because she's reliving the same thing over and over and over again until we finally get to the present day. I think that was the whole point of it, was to show why she keeps going through the same thing over and over and over again.
It's
And now we're at the
very.
point where she's trying to like resolve it.
Is it Cloud Atlas that did that? I've only seen the movie. I never read the book, but where it was the same people in every same timeline kept these two people kept finding each other in every timeline
Mm-hmm.
and would fall in love over and over and over again because they were meant to be together.
Right.
I immediately thought of 50 First Dates, and I know that's not what you're talking about.
But I agree with that too.
All that's coming to mind. I feel like I have seen something similar to that though.
At first, I was like, "Wow, the vibe, we're vibing." Then I realized that was it. And she did call him over. Definitely understood that it was meant to show us that it's repetitive. However, as a reader, I think there has to be more added to it to make it more enjoyable experience and not feeling like the only thing different was the geography in the year. And LOL, love 51st Dates.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I also am also fascinated by history, so some of the
Same.
timelines I knew exactly what would have been going on around those things. So to see how accurate some of that was really cool. So
I'm also fascinated by history and in different time periods. So seeing it go back like all the way to like the 1000s, like all the
okay.
way back to like
At one point wasn't
that
it
far
BC?
back, I'm like that was really cool because those were like scenes from different parts of the world that I have never even heard of. So I thought it was really cool, like diving into that world and seeing what that world could have been like. Because I love history, and I just felt like it was really interesting to see like the different things that they did and the different names that they would have had, and like you know, I know basically it's the same plot over and over again, but seeing the different historical aspects for me was one of my favorite parts of the book.
And the different, and we'll get into this in a few because I do have some questions about it. But
Mm-hmm.
the gender
I was
identities and stuff like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
that was
fascinating to see throughout the thing. But we
yeah,
do have questions on
okay.
that because it's me. I had to bring up the queer side of this. So,
Yeah, I
but
knew once I read that you'd be all over it.
oh yes. Um, so I googled questions. So the AI system is actually really cool now with Google. Like Google was like, here's some questions. Here's ones on plot. Here's on characters. Here's on this, and I went, okay, we're using a lot of these because these are better than I could ever think of.
I'll have to I'll have to look into that for the future live shows.
So how do you interpret Evelyn's knowledge of her future deaths? Is it a curse or a form of understanding? Some of these
Ooh, that
questions
is a
were
good
like
question.
super in depth, and I
I was
loved
gonna
it.
say that. I was like, I've done this before. Just know, check the questions. It'll also populate questions that aren't true. Like it'll make up its own sometimes. So like you have to make
Mhm.
sure.
Oh yeah, and you also have to like question it because when I was using the ball pick, the character names are London and Dahlia, and it kept going London and Rory.
Yeah, exactly. So like you gotta
So
supervise
I'm
it with
like, I had to like manipulate a couple of them, but
it.
hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a
Just as like, what do I? How do I answer this?
I wouldn't because I wouldn't consider it a curse or a form of understanding. I guess is kind of where I am. Her knowledge of future deaths, like knowing she is going to die.
Yes, of her future death, of knowing when it's coming. She never turns 18. She always dies right before she turns 18.
I think it's more of like, yeah, I mean, I guess technically it is a curse, but more of just like, I definitely don't think it's a form of understanding. Someone else answer.
I mean, she's not quite an adult, so she doesn't have the adult understanding of what it actually meant. She's more of a teenager, and like,
Mhm.
I think she's still trying to like wrap her mind around, oh, so this is gonna happen when I'm 17, and I'll never get a chance to be an adult. So why worry about, you know,
I mean, it's
everything?
definitely, if they mean curse in the form of like, it's something that she's going to be how do her memories don't come back immediately, right? It's like as she's aging, she slowly
I
starts.
think she's like, I think it said she's usually when she turns 8 is when she starts to get the understanding that she will die before she turns 18.
Okay. So yeah, I guess like it's a curse from like 10 to 17 because she has that dread of like I'm eventually going to die.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine that's a fun feeling knowing that your death is inevitable by a random person that you have to figure out every single time who that person is.
Right?
Which I will say,
Mm.
I was completely wrong on who I thought Arden was going to be in this timeline.
Really?
My brain took it completely different than I should have, but my brain kept thinking maybe the sister might be
I,
Arden.
originally, my first thing was
I
my
thought
first
that
thing
too,
was sister, and then I dropped it. But I thought that for a second.
because she was so super close with her sister in the current timeline. So I'm like, it's not Dylan. It's not this new guy who showed up.
Yeah, I thought the
It
new
has to
guy
be
was
someone
too
she'd be really
obvious.
close to.
Thought the new guy was way too
I
obvious.
didn't think it was Dylan though. I never guessed that. Or the who it ended up being the brother. I never would have guessed that one.
Right? Because like when they finally revealed it was actually Dylan, that was actually Arden. I'm like, I know he did a really good job in the one of the timelines of like, um, or she didn't guess him at all. Like that one where he was
Peru?
very cold and she had no idea it was him that backstabbed her all of a
With
sudden in
Peru,
that one
Argentina,
timeline.
or
It's in
Ecuador?
like the very beginning. Yeah, that one timeline. And so she said, oh, he's getting really good at this, at hiding it. And then like when she finds out it was Dylan and she had no clue it was him, like how, like, I'm curious how he's managing
El
to find
Salvador.
ways to like keep her from knowing that it's him right away. Like how I wanted to know how he was doing that, and we didn't get answers on that. So I was a little sad that we didn't actually find out how he was actually, you know, portraying being somebody else so well that you couldn't guess him.
I think it's just the
Utopia is
longer he's
old.
been doing it, he has like he can tell his own tells at this point. Like he's starting to realize how she's able to figure it out. Was my guess.
Especially seeing as he has complete everything.
Yeah, he always has the memory.
And
right?
I think he mentioned his start coming back when he's like 5. So he gets them earlier than she does, and he gets every single detail. She gets a blimp here, a blimp here, a blimp here, and a blimp here, while he gets to see the full movie from start to finish.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again in his head.
Yeah. And
Which I'm shocked it didn't affect him as a person.
right.
You have to kill the person you love
Over and over and over.
Over and over.
over and over again. I would have expected it to like affect him a little bit more than it did.
The most heartbreaking one for me was in Siberia
Oh, yes.
when they were doing it together. I was like tears were flowing down my face during that scene. like he did not want, like he was so like, even though he didn't want to do it, eventually he had to protect her. But like the whole them being together and like him digging the grave for them to lay in together, just that whole thing that really got me. Then the poetry book that came in the present timeline, I'm like, it's him. As soon as I found out about that book, I'm like,
yeah, when her sister said that Dylan gave it to her.
Yeah.
It was her sister's friend, I think it was.
Yeah, Dylan was her sister's friend.
No, I mean Nadia, the one in the bookstore. She's the one who gave it to her.
Yes, but her sister was reading the same poetry book that was given to her by Dylan. So that's where my brain. Dylan gave it to her while she with the care package.
I thought it was Nadia that gave it to her.
No, Nadia is Evelyn's friend.
Oh, the poetry had gone viral, is what
Because I thought Nadia came to the hospital and gave her sister the book.
Oh, I thought it was in the care package that Dylan gave her. Which would have made... That is where my brain started going, no, it's Dylan then.
Why do I think someone saw it at a bookstore? Like, I remember a specific scene of someone, like, I do think it was getting more popular. Like,
I know while she was working at the bookstore, her coworker was reading it.
Okay, maybe that's all I can remember.
And handed it to her.
Okay.
Yeah, her coworker was also her sister's friend.
Oh, then I may have misread something, but I thought it was in the care package thing that they were talking about that Dylan gave her. Which is where my brain went, watch Dylan be the guy. And when he turned out to be the guy, I was like, I knew it.
Unless I misread something, but I really thought it was her that gave her sister the book. I remember her coming to the hospital.
I was listening to it, so I might have blended some scenes. Lori says, I figured it was Dylan when she said she thought it was him, but mentioned the name Arden and he didn't react. I was like, it's him then. Dana says, it's also said that for him, it's a tether that pulls him to her. So I'm imagining that it's why she has a harder time deciphering who it is at times. The pull is stronger for him without seeing her.
That makes sense.
And a lot of people were reading it. Okay. How does Evelyn's perspective on love change throughout her lifetimes?
Okay. I love this question because it reminds me of that trench scene.
Yes.
And the way she finally, like, understood Arden in a way she didn't before. And, like, even though she hasn't given up on trying to get answers from him, but she still loves him regardless. Like, that was one of my favorite scenes from the book, besides the Siberia one.
And I wonder if all of her different lives of her falling in love with Arden, or not falling in love, but having this connection. I just think it's interesting, and this was one of the reasons why I was kind of annoyed that it took this long for her to become so attached to a family member? Or are we supposed to believe that this, like, that happened before? Because it seems like where we started the story in this present timeline, she really has a connection with her family and her sister, and she's desperate to save her sister. And I want to know why in this particular timeline that came about.
I took it as the fact of why she was so desperate in this one is because this is the first time she's been in a timeline where she can help a family member.
Okay.
Where it's her sister will live because of her.
I was wondering if her capacity to love has gotten greater as these lifetimes have like progressed.
That I was wondering too.
So
I was thinking that also.
Yeah.
But I took it as because there is a scene where she was born in, what was it, Finland? And she was 40 something miles from her previous family and was, and it was 17 years later, and she went back and knocked on the door after her parents died in that timeline.
Yeah.
And the way she was screaming for her sister, I felt like maybe there was like a huge connection right there. Like she's connected with every family.
Okay.
And that was the first time she was born within the same, where they were still alive. And she was where they were. That she could go back to them. And that, I think, made an impact on her. That when she realized, oh, my sister's dying, but my bone marrow matches hers, and I can save her, I will live on through her.
Yeah.
I won't fully be dead. My life will have some sort of meaning.
Did you think that could be the answer to this while you were reading this? Because I fully thought that was going to break the curse. Is when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to live past 18 because her marrow's there. And that didn't happen.
That would have been probably even more heartbreaking.
Yes.
I thought it was going to, I thought that was literally like how this whole thing was going to break. And for that to just not at all happen, I was like, oh, I feel like I missed like something there.
Dana says, I think it was said that she loves deeply and loves each family, but that this time she can make a difference before she died. And Dana says, that thought never crossed my mind, but I would have loved that.
Right? Like, even if she died, like, at least part of her is still living in her sister.
But in my head, I was like, I wondered if it was going to do the opposite. The minute she died, would her sister die because the bone marrow was in her sister?
Oh, God, I didn't think of that. That would be horrible.
That's where my brain went, and I went, oh, my brain went, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
I thought it was going to be like a loophole. Like, she would come back to life after dying, and like they would both survive because like somehow she was able to live past 18. Like, I thought that's how.
Right. I had that thought as well at one point.
Oh, the end, I saw none of that coming. What happened at the end,
Same.
I saw nothing.
Why would you? There was no sort of like
there was like a couple of signs going back and remembering different scenes.
That's my biggest gripe with this is I feel like we could have, that ending felt like it came very much out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, the whole like destroying the mother and then being reborn into whole different lives again. But from then on in after that, even as they grew past 18, they can never see or speak to each other again.
Well, they could, but they wouldn't know that they were speaking to them.
But even if they even found the other person, they can't be together anymore. They're not allowed to.
Heart.
That was what got to me.
Imagine it did what Jess said and it broke the curse and she could finally live a full life and finish her checklist.
Yeah.
Yes, Jess. Heavy on the ending being a no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of, well, it didn't, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Addie LaRue, the ending, except the difference being that even though they were both open endings, this particular ending in this book had more of an emotional impact on me than Addie LaRue did.
Who here thought Mr. Blonde Hair, the stranger, was going to be the person, the woman who walked up on them in the trench? I thought maybe there was a third person that kept reincarnating with them,
Oh.
and is the reason why. Oh, thank you, chocolate. I kept thinking because the wedding, the lady at the trench, they mentioned something in El Salvador about another person.
Mhm.
It was like a one thrown away line in like different timelines, and I was like, oh, is someone getting reincarnated with them? That it's if they kill her, is the world gonna end?
I thought that too, actually, a
So
little
I was
bit.
wondering if it was like this whole, are we gonna have this whole love triangle thing at some point?
Like, because of one scene in particular, the asylum scene where she is able to escape, and then she has these flashbacks or something. I don't
Huh?
know if it was a flashback or something in the future.
Of the
Like
guard.
she was going through her head, and she's like, "I can't go through this. I have to go back."
So that's where my brain went with that.
That's why I'm like, that's why I thought that too because of that particular scene.
That asylum scene too. That was a dark scene. I feel
Yeah,
like that
that really
that one
was.
was a heavy read.
But I felt like that could have been a little bit darker and could have had more of an impact.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like this is pretty dark for YA.
It
Alright.
is, but I think I just read a lot of dark crap, so I was waiting
no,
for it
yeah.
just to be like a little bit more. Like I just wanted like a hair darker because I feel like that could
Yeah,
have caused a little bit more of an impact. Like us see her go
yeah.
back, us see her do something to the guard
Yeah.
to protect. I don't know what Arden's name was in that life, but Arden.
Yeah.
So
I think he was he a woman? Was it like was he a woman?
They were both women.
They were both
actually.
women.
Yeah.
Like from the moment they went to the underworld and everything played out, I was like, why am I here?
I
Oh.
literally said, "What am I reading? What is happening right now?"
I very much went, and this is gonna sound really bad coming from me because I love her so much.
Mhm.
I was like, what in the Sarah J. Maas bullshit is happening right now? In the whole, oh, the power of love defeated her. What? That's in my brain. I just went, okay, Care Bears meet Sarah J. Maas. I love it, but what the hell?
And it was also packed into such a like all of that happened so quickly at the end. I just feel like it could have been like 4 more chapters of expanding upon all of that. I just did not like the pacing of the big reveal and then the conclusion. I feel like we could have that it needed to be like that. That's not enough time.
Yeah, it needs to be a little. I feel like this book could have been a little bit longer if she explored, so it made it like a deeper connection to the characters, even more so than she did. I mean, I love the connection that we have here, but I felt like also like she could have done more and made this book longer, and I would have devoured it.
I think she could have done an adult duology, and this would have been a 5-star for me. If she had made it adult, so we make it a little bit darker, we expand on some stuff, and we do 2 books, or we make it like a really chunky standalone.
Yeah.
Dana, you say that as if you would have eaten up as SJM and Care Bears crossover. I probably would eat up a Sarah J. Maas and a Care Bears crossover. I'm like, how many Care Bears do I have just floating around this room? I have an entire like chest in front of the bed with all my Care Bears in it. My rating was gonna be a 5 before the reveal. The reveal was a big letdown. I feel like at that point it was so much of Groundhog Day of their life, and then it was over. Oh, that I wouldn't. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
by the way,
I was sitting at like a 4-star until we got the big reveal, and I was like, this can't be. This isn't the reveal. This isn't the end. So
also before we go to the next question, I remembered Arden's name from the asylum. I think it was Augusta.
I wanted to say it started with a G, and I would have been so wrong. But Augusta, I think you're right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all think about Arden's actions and motivations? Do you consider him a villain, or is there more to him?
Was there? I didn't understand the ending. Okay, not the ending, but the very end. Was there like a double twist where? Hold on, come back to me.
Was there a double twist? What are you asking?
We find out that she is not a demon, but she's
A Reaper of Souls. We'll just say Reaper of Souls.
A
Reaper, basically.
A Reaper of Souls, and then she ends up reaping his soul, and that's why we think that's why everything is happening. But at the end, isn't there like another reveal?
Yes, where she was reborn in the past.
Yes.
And someone reaped her soul.
Okay.
And turned her into a Reaper.
Okay, but
so I don't think she was ever born by the mother. I think this is their way of showing us, she was just like him. So she was never a demon.
Okay. I got confused because I thought it was possibly Arden that did that and then made it so he wouldn't remember. And if that was the case, then I'm like, yeah, he was actually kind of evil the whole time. But if it wasn't him that did that, then
I think it was their way of showing us that she was just like him.
Okay.
And that he was her first that she went to go reap.
Got it.
I feel like they might have known each other in a life even before that. Before she was even placed under with the mother in the underworld. I'm pretty sure she was reaped in a life before that in order to get to where she was with the mother.
Wasn't she saving her best friend?
I feel like there was bits of clues here and there that made me think like she was born before any of this stuff happened.
Well, when they're talking about in Greece where she got reaped, she's a boy who's trying to save the woman he loves.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that as she was reaped first there trying to save him. And when she came back is why she was interconnected with him again and ended up reaping his soul.
Oh, I like that if that's the case.
So I took that as they were always meant to be together.
Okay, so with that cleared up, no, I definitely do not think Arden is a villain. I think he was put in a horrible situation and was trying to make the best of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he made a deal with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever really wanted to be a villain. I think he just wanted to be with his sister again. And that's why he's been doing what he's been doing, so she didn't have to find out, she's the one who struck this deal.
What if,
Yeah.
Speaking of his sister, what if his sister is actually her sister in this timeline? And that is why them two are so connected.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. That would explain a lot.
I didn't think about that until just now as you were talking about that. I was like, wait, Dylan kept mentioning that he was so close with the sister.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That something about her kept telling him, oh no, I have to be around these people. He tried to stay away, but he couldn't. Because
maybe his sister was reborn into that life.
Yes.
Or for all we know, she could have been reborn again and again and again, and we didn't know. Maybe she was inserted into each of those past lives, and we just didn't notice.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Oh, love it. That just makes me love these characters even more, thinking about it from that point of view.
Right?
And that very end where what was it? Where Blythe is 50-something? Where they're in Scotland and they're watching the TV, the Met Gala, and how Blythe not Blythe, Gracie
Yeah.
was on the TV and the person was like, I don't know why this person
Seems so familiar.
seems familiar and just brings a joy to my life. But their movies and stuff just bring me to life. And I just thought
Right.
that was such a beautiful tie in to let us know that Gracie made it.
I love that too. And at first, I didn't realize there was two guys in the epilogue. I thought one of them had to be. I knew one had to be Evelyn, one had to be Arden, but I didn't know which was which.
Come through, Belladonna.
In some ways, it does. There are certain scenes that do give Belladonna vibes. I have to admit.
Well, now that we're talking about the two guys at the end, we can go to the queer questions and go, how does this novel handle the gender fluidity of Evelyn and Arden across the lifetimes? Because I know that when they're in the opera house,
Mhm.
they have a full on conversation.
Uh huh.
I thought it was handled beautifully. I thought it was done very well. I liked watching.
Oh.
There
My bad.
Oh.
No, I thought it was handled very well throughout this. I liked watching them go. There's like souls for
Mhm.
what else you want to call it. Just like go into the different bodies, and that their love, it just didn't matter gender.
Yeah.
They were still, that's them, that's their soul. Doesn't matter the body they were put into.
And
Yeah.
I
I felt
like.
like. Sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just saying how like love is transcendent over time, and that to them, the bodies they were in didn't matter. It was about their souls being intertwined, and no matter who they were as a person, they were still like together in their hearts, and it didn't really matter to them.
And I
I
liked.
love that.
See, and I love the conversation where Arden asked Evelyn in the opera house, well, when you're in the timelines, do you feel like you're more connected as a boy or do you feel more connected as a girl? Mentioning that there were new terms and stuff, but the new terms was talking about two men falling in love,
Hmm.
which are terms like intersex when it was first dropped, was talking about relationships between the same gender, not intersex as two or more genders in one person. So
Hmm.
I liked how subtly those conversations were just like thrown in and it was just normal. Especially given the way I took it was that Arden was the son of some powerful Caesar military dude who apparently kills a lot of people because they mentioned his father being a tyrant.
Yeah.
So I just liked the beauty of that type of a conversation being had.
Yeah, that was refreshing to see. Like, I honestly did not know there was anything clear in this book at all, and to find out that it is, and we're discussing it on your channel, isn't that just perfect?
I tell you, you're a queer taking over.
Like, I did not see any of that coming. I just thought they were always going to be a boy and a girl, and seeing them like being in different bodies that's not technically boy girl traditionally, like boy boy or girl girl, I thought was really interesting to see because you don't see that really all that much, especially in YA.
But I kind of love, because I had no idea going in either that it featured that. But I also kind of love the fact that that didn't need to be marketed. That is just a natural. It's just naturally occurring, and we've just like as a society, that's just a
Mm.
And it
perfectly.
wasn't used as a plot device.
That's what yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
As in, sometimes I've seen books be marketed where they don't mention the queerness, so when you read it, it's actually used in the book as a plot device. I hate to say it, but i.e., Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was never pitched as being queer when it first came out because it is a reveal in the book,
Right.
which I will always say that it's queer
It is.
because queerness should not be used as a reveal.
Yes.
So having these conversations in this, I appreciated how normal it was, that none of it was used in a plot device kind of way to, oh, we're going to throw this in for like a little plot twist in this moment to
Right.
make it more exciting. And I
Right.
appreciate that. So speaking of that, we've got, what are your thoughts on the book's LGBTQIA plus representation?
It, for me, it came as a complete surprise. I did not see it coming, but I absolutely loved it because it shows that, like I said before, love is transcendent. It doesn't matter like who you are as a person. It's who you connect with truly, like in your heart, and it's not really about like you know like gender norms these days. Like how people like are always saying like it has to be between a boy and a girl to love, but you truly don't need to be, and that's what I think this book truly shows that, and that's
This is
why
a book we
one of the things I
need
loved it so
today.
much.
This is a book that the YA audience needs today,
Yeah,
Agreed.
just with the conversations going on in the world.
There's a lot of I read a few Y books lately. I feel like authors are doing their best right now.
And
yeah,
YA is that genre that doesn't mind. It's that one place that is openly putting conversations like gender, sexuality, race, and identity to the forefront of their stories, but
hmm
not making it the whole point of it.
Yep.
Adult novels are still slowly trying to catch up
yeah,
Agreed.
with that. So I do appreciate YA being so open with things like that.
yeah. Like,
So let's get into a little bit more of symbolism and stuff. What are y'all's initial thoughts on the premise of a
reincarnation.
reincarnation story? How does it impact the narrative? And does it impact it yay or a nay?
I love a good reincarnation story. The issue is the first one I read was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I feel like I hold I compare every single book I read to that at this point. Um, and I feel like that kind of negatively affected my experience with this book. But I do think reincarnation was handled very well in this book. And like we talked about before, I love that we got different genders and I love that we got different history and things like that. But yeah, pretty much it.
Except I did notice though, like even though we're comparing this book to Addie LaRue did not have reincarnation. Really, it was more like she was living lots of lives throughout her immortal journey, and she's always invisible,
Yeah.
so people don't remember her. So it's not really a reincarnation. She's just always there. No one ever remembers her.
Mhm.
This though, I felt like really reminded me more of the Fallen series by Lauren Kate because
Because of the
of how
reincarnation.
much I loved that series. It's probably why I love this book so much because I love reincarnation stories as a whole, and just um, I just felt like this one was done really well in my opinion because it brings you back to all the different time periods. And I know in the Fallen series they do a little bit of that, but not as much as this book did. And we got to see so many different lives lived in this book. I love that. And that's
If
probably
you
why it's a favorite.
if you like history, I think you would really like Peaches and Honey because that also goes to all of these different historic areas.
It's still on my wish list. I just can't get a physical copy yet.
See, I like reincarnation stories when they're done right.
Yeah,
I can agree that this one does at times does feel a little repetitive in moments,
yeah,
or it can seem like it's repetitive. I saw the differences in each of the timelines and what subtle differences each one of them had. So it wasn't as repetitive to me. The outcome of every lifeline is going to be repetitive because one of them's got to kill the other.
right.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's kind of what's the plot point. It's either that or they get dragged to hell. they have one of those two options.
Right.
But it didn't feel as repetitive like some other reincarnation stories I've read in the past. I know I read a couple in high school that I went, what the heck is this? We're getting the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
I
I
think
think
that's the
that was in a
point.
manga that I was reading that too. So it was just like, what
Right.
is this?
I feel like that is the point with the reincarnation story, about it being done over and over and over again, because that's what reincarnation is. They're reliving things over and over again.
Mm,
And if you don't like those repetitive scenes, is maybe reincarnation stories is not for you. Not that I'm bashing anybody and saying you
yeah,
can't read any of these books. I'm just saying like that's kind of the point of reincarnation.
yeah.
Like that you're gonna be reliving the same things over and over and over again. So you have to expect that going in.
The reincarnation aspect was cool. The different timelines was fun. I think it just needed to be balanced more for me. It had small things for sure. I think for me, she spent way too much time doing that same thing with the small moments thrown in.
I agree.
And then reincarnation and groundhog are different. This did have kind of like it was reincarnation with a groundhog aspect to
Yeah,
it because the ending was always going to be the same.
yeah.
Um, well, let's skip that question. Um, it was a question that we basically have already
Yeah.
discussed. So as we've basically talked about that. Hold on, let me find one because we've done a lot of talking.
Yeah, we sure have. Almost an hour already.
Oh crap! I didn't even realize that. Does the author successfully convey the passage of time and changes in Evelyn and Arden's lives?
I think
I would
so.
I would say yes. Yeah.
Okay, I figured that was going to be an easy answer, but
Yeah.
okay. So, does the ending resolve major plot points? And how does the ending make you feel? For those,
Infuriated. I hated the ending.
when I saw this question, I had to include this question. I knew I was going to get infuriated from somebody.
The only part about the ending that I didn't like was how easy it was to get to the mother eventually. Like even though it was hard to kill her the first couple of times, she eventually did by um because once she put that the mother put that thing on them where they have to like live separate lives and everything. Like as soon as she did that, though, she was taking in all that love from them, and I think that's what killed her. And I mean, I liked that part, but it was also a little bit predictable. Like I saw like that part coming because when you put in all that love into an evil body, like that's gonna kill the evilness right from out of you. So like I did kind of see that coming a little bit, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But I loved the rest of the ending. And I just wished that we could have seen more of the ending. Like I kind of wanted to see like them live their full lives and see if they, besides crossing paths, I kind of wanted to see them actually um
Exactly this. If
It is
Arden had
yeah.
just told her,
it is the worst trope imaginable, usually in romances, but the miscommunication trope.
it
yeah,
wasn't it wasn't even miscommunication. He just didn't tell her point
Yeah,
blank.
it's that whole if you talk it out, people.
Like honestly though, I felt like the ending. I wish we had a longer ending. I guess you could say.
I love this comment. I think my thing is also this book was beautifully written. So much was spent like seeing their lives, and I just feel that the ending was so fast paced and didn't fit with the rest of the book. And kind of like what you pointed out earlier, the power of love saved the day very much felt like an after school special, and I wanted it to be more of like some sort of like outthinking this woman and figuring things out instead of just like she killed herself essentially. Like she
Yeah.
did this to herself. So I wish we had a little bit more.
And there was also no explanation. Is the underworld still a thing? Is people still like when they die? Are they go? Where are they going? Like what's going on?
Mm.
So I was like, it left us, I think, with a little bit more questions, and I kind of like sometimes if a book does that because it does open up for possibilities of revisiting this world in the future.
Yeah. Like, I kind of would like to see another book, like a follow up, just to see like what else they have in store for the rest of their lives, even if they never cross paths again. You know.
But even if they cross paths, they don't know that they're crossing paths. That's the problem.
I know that would be a great plot right there.
I took it as the two guys at the end were them
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they were both looking at the TV and they were both looking at Gracie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're supposed to assume that's them.
Yeah. I just want them to have one last life where they can live together forever and then die happily and never have to be reborn again.
Kind of like the Notebook.
Yes, have a Notebook ending where I can't ruin the ending for people who've never seen it. I'm going to shut up. Okay, now we're on to the basic questions of do we have any favorite scenes or least favorite scenes besides the ending?
Yeah. Besides the ending, I know my top two favorite scenes right off the bat: the Siberia one and the trenches. Those are my top two.
I think the trenches might be mine. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I can
I
predict yours, Clint. At least one of them.
which one?
Um, the when they have that a gender fluidity conversation.
Is one of them.
Yeah.
And then the other one was they were in a Hispanic country. I don't remember which one, but she was working at the was it a bakery that she was working at and this stranger walked up because
I
she
think
was
about the
like
French
waiting.
one.
Was it French? I thought they were like in South
Yeah,
America.
they were in a restaurant in France.
Oh, was it France? For some reason in my head I pictured South America in this like because I pictured like the trees and stuff in the background. I don't know.
I think it was like when kind of like you know how in France they have like there are places that are kind of like chateaus have their own like big land, you know, out
Yeah.
in the countryside kind of. I figured it was one of those out of the way places, kind of like that.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I pictured it.
Favorites. Crickets.
Cricket.
No favorites, Dana? Not at all. Not even a single one.
But I really liked that scene because it was, to me, it showed the instant connection between them. Of
Yeah.
the whole, if we take away the rest of the story and you've never met these characters,
I do have a
in,
favorite.
in that particular like moment, showed me these are the characters that are meant to fall in love. And I just liked how that was written. Go
They
ahead.
have it. They have a best friend scene, don't they? I think it's in like India, maybe, where they find out they're actually friends, and they
Oh,
realize.
the two girls?
Desert one?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that
Desert.
scene. I thought that scene was great.
Nauru? They were in Nauru, I think.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. Also, and I just have another favorite was that empire they were in. The I can't remember if it was it Chinese. No, it wasn't Chinese.
Yeah,
It was. Hold on, I'm trying to remember. She sacrificed herself to save him.
No, not Nauru.
She was a boy. He was a girl in that scene where she was supposed to hang herself. And well, Arden was supposed to hang, and then she took the beating for him.
Oh, yes. where they were a prince, the
Yeah, then
Mali
they
Empire,
and that's part of, one of the early
or is that the
early
Ottoman?
lives, one of the most earliest ones. That was when they like that eye contact, the way like she was going through it while like they had that eye contact was like haunting in a way, kind of.
Yeah, I think it was Nauru that they were the friends, Eleonora and something, because that sounds right.
Mm.
Um, enjoyed the journey through history and see the different timeline periods having a moment to shine.
Oh,
I
same.
enjoy. Oh, same thing. Okay. Did anything in the book shock you
I think.
besides the ending?
The big reveal at the end. Oh, and also Dylan finding out that he was Arden because I didn't guess that.
Right. I totally
Finding
didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
finding out after she knocks out the other dude
Yeah.
and he comes walking in, and I was
And
like,
it just
oh.
watches her and be like, Evelyn, what are you doing?
Also,
And
that
she's like,
other dude
what?
was really okay with that. Like, he was a very nice guy. I would not, that would not be my reaction to getting knocked out and hear the story he was told. I would not believe any of that.
No, I
I'm
would think
surprised
these
he didn't go
people
right
were
into the
insane.
cops after that.
Exactly.
I would have, like any normal person would have, but he took her word for it and didn't say anything until like towards the end when the cops didn't even need to be there anyways because we all knew he was gonna find her eventually. It just was a matter of time.
Yep.
So the
Watch.
cops didn't really matter.
I was waiting for that part at the very end where they mentioned Gracie for him to be standing next to Gracie. Like
Oh,
them
that would
to
have
have like met at her funeral and them to fall in love, for Gracie to have a good man.
Yeah, and there was another thing, like where like the whole cop situation. I did not think that plot point needed to be used at all. I felt like it was a detraction from the story, maybe a little bit, because like no matter what she did, he was gonna find her anyway, because they're tethered to each other. So he's always gonna come find her, no matter where she is.
Well, there was a
Yes.
possibility
To
if they
bring
like
in
locked
cops to get
if
rid of
they locked him
her.
up or something, she might have been able to stay. Because remember, because at the institution, she was able to flee, and he wouldn't have been able to capture her.
See, I think if they didn't use a police officer plotline in 2022 at some point,
Hmm.
I don't think the book would have felt realistic
True.
because of the fact of her knocking the other guy out and things like that. Cops not getting involved. There are too many YA novels where parents are dead and no cops are called.
I mean, yeah,
That could have helped the situation.
The other guy was there when Arden was threatening to kill her. So I guess it does make sense. I just didn't like that they had to be there. I just wanted to see everything. I know it had to be there for realistic sake, but at the same time, I kind of wish it wasn't, just to see what was going to happen.
Okay, so do we have any quotes that stood out? I had tons. I just didn't write any of them down.
If I was annotating, I mean, if I was an annotator, I would have highlighted so much, but I'm not. But I would at least go back and reread and start tabbing.
There's my quote. It's on the cover of the book.
Maybe that's all of. Oh,
Maybe that's
Oh
all
yeah,
love is in the end, an endless tempting of fate.
yep.
I like that. That's a good one.
I do like that quote.
So,
But there's so many good quotes in this book overall because of the things that they said to each other. I'm like, dang.
his poetry, like I would find it fascinating if she released his poetry
Yes.
as a book, just to have like alongside it.
I bet Danny
Uh,
would read that.
The I love you, I have loved you, and I will love you, what he said to her all the time. I was trying to remember what it was. That I did like. I thought that was beautiful.
Yes.
I did too. I love that line.
Those are like perfect lines to use if you're getting married. Like
That
that,
was good.
Mm.
those are like what I thought, like
Yeah.
hearing it. Okay, thoughts on the writing style. I know me and you loved it, but for
Yep.
those who didn't like it, what were your thoughts on how she wrote it?
The writing was my favorite part of the book. I thought the writing was very well done.
Because
I thought it was just very beautiful. I thought the prose were well done. So I actually really do like this author's writing style.
Dana has, it's impossible to have bravery without fear. Bravery is picking up the fear and carrying it alongside you rather than allowing it to block the
Aww.
path. Ugh,
That's good. That's
That
a
is
good
a
one
good
too.
one.
ugh, that's a good one, Dana.
That's a really good one.
Oh, I'm starring that.
I feel like her writing style is so lyrical. Like I want to read more of her books
Same.
because of this particular writing style.
Um,
And it was
I-
still accessible. It's not like it was hard to understand. I find like sometimes with more whimsical writing styles that can be an
Mhm.
issue.
Mm.
Besides Addie LaRue and Fallen, did this book remind us of any others?
Well, it did say in this book it's also compared to How to Lose a Time War, and I've never read that, so I
do
don't. I want to be able to compare it to that because I don't know anything about that particular book.
I DNF'd How to Lose the Time War because
As did I.
of the writing.
As did I. That writing made no. That was the opposite of what I just said. That writing was not accessible, and I did not understand what was happening in that book.
All I know is it's two robots falling. I think two robots falling in love,
I
and
didn't.
they're supposed to be
What?
two female robots on different sides of wars, and they're doing it through letters. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me.
It reminded me a lot of Peaches and Honey, like I've said. Which if you have not read, highly, highly recommend. Amazing book. And the protagonist has vitiligo, which I don't see a lot of people.
Oh yeah, you don't see that
Yeah.
in
Which
books
one?
that
Which
often.
one are you talking about? Peaches and Honey? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do really want to read that. Every time I hear you talk about it, I want to read it. So I'm like, I want to read that.
And that writing style is also so, so beautiful. And just everything is described and it's so lush. And I love it.
Well, we may have to check that out in the future.
Yeah, what's this? There's another physical copy. I'm definitely buying it.
It must be getting trad pubbed because I just got mine like a few months ago and it was
Amanda, do we want to start a list of possibles for next year and
Yes.
add that on to it?
Peaches and Honey has to be added because now I
We'll
want
add
to
it
read
to
it.
that. That way it gives it time to get traditionally published.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you guys would like it. It's really good.
Would you ever reread this book?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. Nor would it.
I'm somewhere in the middle because it's one of those books that I loved so much in this moment that I am afraid that if I do reread it,
It won't hit the same.
will it hit the same for me?
Dana.
With every fiber of my being, no.
Would you read another book by this author?
Yes, and yes.
Yes, I would read another book by this author.
She's coming out with, I think, Silver Cloak, I think it's called. Silver something. And I really want that book. And then I saw that, I thought this was her debut. It's not. So I want to get her backlist books as well.
Oh, I also thought this was her debut.
No, she wrote she just wrote the exact opposite of okay, every exquisite thing, the Society of Soulless Girls, but yeah, Silver Cloak. The Silver Cloak Saga Book 1 Silver Cloak comes out in July.
Mm-hmm.
Which has, a completely different vibe just based on the cover.
Ooh.
And I really want to get that. I've entered Goodreads giveaways for that. I haven't won it yet, but if I don't win it by the time it comes out, I will be buying it.
But it's not underneath Laura Steven, it's underneath
LK.
LK Steven.
Yeah.
I think her middle name starts with a K.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. She wrote the Molly Seabrook middle grade series. The I have a cousin who really loves them. The and then I turned into a mermaid and don't tell him I'm a mermaid because she goes underneath also the name of Laura Kirkpatrick as well.
I didn't know she had so many books in her backlist. I thought there was
Yeah.
just a couple. I'm gonna have more books from her. I need to read.
Um, I am so happy Clint and Amanda loved this. Clint and I were texting, and I was telling him that I thought this was a great choice of being a book he'd like. Me too, because I swear to God, if I did not like this book, I don't know if I could have continued the rest of this year with Fiction Falls.
Aww.
Listen, these picks and me have not been hitting.
Have you
Well,
guys announced your next book for next month, or are you doing it at the end of this?
Uh,
I
well, I was going to mention that
Okay.
anyways, but we've done
yeah,
our
we
announcement.
always
But
talk about that at like the very end.
Okay.
it is your favorite book of last year,
Yeah,
so
because Issa told you to read it.
Oh, you told me that. I didn't know that was your next one. Yay! Oh, I
um,
hope you guys love it.
so any lingering questions or thoughts on the book that we did not discuss?
I think we covered like literally every single thing in this book.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, do we
Cannot
have,
wait to read more from this author.
did anybody's rating change through discussion?
I'll go up to a 3. Like a solid 3.
I had a feeling you were gonna go up at least maybe a little.
Yeah. I'll go up 0.2. So solid 3. I'm happy with that.
It's still a solid 5 stars for me.
Still a solid 6. It'll be on my favorites of the year. I don't think it'll be high on my favorites of the year. Just because some of the books I've read this year, but it'll be on my favorites of the year list.
Same.
And solid 4.
Yeah, that's not bad. 4 is better than 1.
So, like we were saying, I hope you guys join us next month on Amanda's channel, where we will be reading The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. Is that right?
Yep.
I don't have a physical copy because I've decided with this book club from now on, I am going to borrow copies. I'm going
Or
to
get the
stop
ebook.
or get the ebook. I'm going to stop spending $30 on a book that I ended up not liking.
Yeah, because you bought The Stars Are Dying. That did not work for you.
I
Even though
bought The
I
Stars
really
Are
enjoyed
Dying.
it.
I bought The Lady of Darkness. I bought
Fear the
Fear the
Flames.
Flames.
And they did not work for you. So, like,
I have a request. Please do not DNF the Sword of Kaigen until you get at least halfway in, because I feel like there's definitely pacing issues. But because I wanted to DNF at that point, and I'm so
really?
happy I didn't.
because I am so nervous about going to the Sword of Kaigen because I DNF Blood Over Bright Haven. So I'm scared.
It's such a different. They're so different. They couldn't be more different. Yeah.
I got so bored.
I have joked, which I'm really hoping I'm right about this, but at the same time, I hope I'm not, that because all the other books have not worked, watch the one that we're the most scared about being my favorite book that we'll do this year, and everybody else not like it.
I can't see. I feel like you're gonna like it. From what I know of, like your little bit of, I think you will like it, but I'm just worried because the beginning is a lot of world building.
Well, I am going to be listening and reading it along. I'm going to
Yeah.
use the Kindle version, and I bought the audiobook so that I'm going to do like a chapter or two a day to like get me through it because I don't read epic high fantasy.
Same.
I have in the past really enjoyed epic high fantasy, like I really enjoy Empire the Vampire.
Yeah.
But I have to be in the mood for a book like that. So I thought if I spread it out, that way I can get to a point in the book where I'm just like, nope, I'm not spreading out anymore. Let's go, let's go,
And
let's go.
that's I think that is the best way to do it because that's how I had to do it with Sword of Kaigen. I listened to a few chapters and then I got to a point where I was like, uh-oh. And then I finished the entire rest of the book in a day and I couldn't put it down.
I mean, I read Empire the Vampire in 3 days, so
I have Empire the Vampire, but have not attempted it at all yet. But I'm super nervous though, just because the other book I tried to read from her, I was not like I could not get through. So that's why I'm so nervous because I'm afraid I'm not gonna like this one, and I need to finish it because we're talking about it on my channel. So I feel like I have to read all the way through, even if I'm not crazy about it. And I'm hoping I do want to like it. It's not that I don't want to like it. I do. It just because
mhm.
of I've heard so many amazing things, but I'm also not really a epic high fantasy reader, so like I'm on the fence. I don't know what to expect.
I will also say though, Blood over Brighthaven has a very intense magic system that is described in so much detail. So this does not have anything like that. This is a lot more just like you're discovering a world. So it's not
Okay.
more as complex magic, and you don't go into all of the little intricacies as much as you do with Blood over Brighthaven. So I feel like Sword of Kaigen's a lot more accessible.
Yeah, I have heard that the Sword of Kaigen is more epic fantasy, and Blood over Brighthaven is more dark academia.
Yep.
Maybe that's why. Maybe dark academia is just not my vibe. I've had some issues with some dark academia.
I do have one question. Are there dragons? Because I've heard from somebody that there's dragons.
They didn't lie.
Okay. Okay, that's all I need to know. Because more than likely, if a book has dragons in it, it's going to be more likely it's going to work for me. Fear the Flames being the exception to the rule. I didn't get to the part where there's dragons.
Well,
so.
there needs to be more dragons in Fear the Flames in general. That's why I'm very excited about the second book. But there's not sentient dragons. I think that's the best I can give you.
Not sentient dragons, huh?
Interesting. Why is this giving me never-ending story vibes now? And I'm kind of intrigued by that.
You'll see.
Dana says after finishing the book, she was at a 2.5, and then she went to a 2. The more I think about it, the lower it goes.
That's sad.
That's me with Lady of Darkness. That's why it went to a 1.5 because of my anger.
Speaking of that series, Lady of Darkness, I know you're doing a Patreon thing tonight, Jess. Unfortunately, I have not even gotten close to finishing.
All good.
I only started like the other day. I'm only like 34 pages.
I ended up I got somewhere in that book and I binged that entire book in a day and a half, or else I wouldn't be able to do my own live show. So
I told
haven't had any
to
chance
let
to
me
read
know.
this weekend so far, so that's probably why.
She's supposed to eventually read the sequel to The Sky is Dying, or The Stars Are Dying, just to let me know what happens. I know she's going to continue on in Lady of Darkness, so she can just tell me what happens. Karina and Dana are going to continue on The Fear of the Flames. They're just going to let me know what happens. That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
I will say, Lady of Shadows, if you like A Court of Thorns and Roses, Lady of Shadows is A Court of Mist and Fury. Like, that's all that book. It's literally that book. And I loved it.
I'm excited to actually get through the book because I will not be able to make it to the live show today because I have not even gotten close.
All good.
Lori said
I will be there in spirit.
Lori says she still needs to buy Sword of Kaigen because she loves to annotate her books. The plan is to chip away at it as well. I want to make sure I pick up on the world building without feeling like I'm drowning. We'll also be doing the immersive way, audio and Kindle. I'm hoping I have that moment where I'm locked in and I want to finish it. I mean, a bunch of us are taking part in a readathon next month, and this book
Mystery
is
and Mayhem.
Mystery and Mayhem, and this book, because we're all on the same team, Mystery Mayhem is basically you're either saving booktubers or you're killing them.
Oh God.
And there's a hit list.
And there's a hit list, and we're team kill the booktubers. Cause a little chaos in the world.
If you're
And-
interested in checking it out, Jess, I can send you the link of the video just to see, what we're all doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I at least know it's got a person on the cover, so that'll give our team an additional 5 points. It's got a map, so that's an additional 2 points. It's an author I've never read, so that's an additional 3 points.
Except for me.
Does it have an animal in it?
Yes.
So that's an additional 2 points. We can say it's the top of our TBR because it's book club book, so that's an additional 3 points.
Don't
Does
forget
it
the
have
page count.
Yeah, page count will give us, because isn't it over 600?
Definitely.
So that's 25 points.
Oh wow.
Does it have multiple POVs?
Yes.
Then that's an additional 4 points.
I mean, we're all going to be reading it together, like as a whole, like a whole bunch of us. So that will give us a lot of points for our team, too.
I wish the cover was red so we could get more points, but
Does special edition covers count? Because my
Yeah.
special edition's red.
Maddie did say though, if there's another version of the cover with something that relates to one of our prompts for our team, we can still use it.
Yeah. The
Master.
Wraith. Oh my God, what's it called? I'll send it to you, Amanda. But it's like Wraith something. Their Kickstarter for Sword of Kaigen. It's a red cover.
Cool.
Yeah.
That works for us. We're gonna get a lot of points.
Because our
Just
team
sort
is
of Kaigen.
red on the cover or a person. Because the
And
other
maybe
two
person on the
teams,
cover.
because the other two teams have, one has blue cover with an object, or green cover with nature.
I'm making sure it's red, but I'm pretty sure. Let's say images. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, there's multiple. Actually, this is a different special edition that's red.
Really? I didn't realize there's so many special editions. Ooh.
Ooh. So we could also count it as a mood read for 2 extra points.
Yeah.
And your most read genre is fantasy. Don't claim it as romantasy, claim it as fantasy, and you can add 2 points.
That's true.
It's not
I mean,
my most read genre, but hey.
Romantasy and fantasy still have fantasy in it regardless. So
And there is a little bit of a romance in this.
I mean, our most read genres are, for me, is queer, but romance. We are a romance household here, which is weird because 5 years ago I hated romance books.
5 years ago, I had never read a romance book. I was reading fantasy.
Well, that
And,
would also
Jess
be-
normally reads romantasy, fantasy, dark romance, like real dark, and she does read biker books, the MC stuff, and she very rarely reads contemporary romance. But on the very rare occasion, maybe if someone recommends to her the right book. But overall, she's more like my type of person. Like we read a lot of the same stuff. So I get all my recommendations.
I read a lot of queer and a lot of contemporary romance. And
I do like contemporary romance though.
what, right here?
Yeah.
No.
What?
This is A Fury of Bones and Gold,
Oh.
which is Shadowhunters, but make it gayer and adult. Where a male a male mage ends up with a god pack alpha werewolf.
Oh yeah, that's another genre she likes. Is paranormal.
Yeah, what's the name of the series? It's
It is the Soulbound series by Haley Turner. It is one of my all-time favorite series. That would be this entirety
You never told
right
me about
here.
the series.
I talk about this series all the time.
I've never heard of it. That's why I was like seeing. I was like, what is that back there?
It's also indie published. Haley Turner did just get picked up to start publishing her books traditionally, though.
Yeah,
So, yay.
the poison vow. Something about a poison vow in the title. That's the one that you're thinking of, I think. A Prince's Poison Vow. I don't know.
Yes,
Something with
yes.
poison vow.
But you have book 1, A Fury of Bones and Gold. 2, All Souls Near and Nigh.
All right, I just downloaded.
Why
the
is it
first
that I've
audiobook.
never heard about the series until now?
3 is A Crown of Iron and Silver. Then you've got 4 is A Virgil in Mourning.
I like the titles.
One of my personal favorites, On the Wings of War. All I gotta say is put a necromancer in Paris and see what happens with the catacombs.
What's the name of the first one again?
Fury of Bones and Gold. Then you got an Echo in the Sorrow. The final one is A Veiled and Hallowed Eve. And then it has 2 spin-off books. You've got The Resurrection Reprise and Secondhand Skin.
It's not on Amazon anymore?
I saw it on Amazon.
Resurrection Reprise has a
Hold on.
vampire, and then you've got Secondhand
I was
Skin.
spelling Fury. I was spelling Fairy as Fury. That was why.
Secondhand Skin has a dragon shifter and a kelpie shifter.
They look good. Are they interconnected standalones, or are they following the same people?
All of these follow the same couple.
Okay.
In a world where they're trying to stop this, it's pretty much Shadowhunters. But Shadowhunters meets Jim Butcher with the Dresden Files because all gods are in this world. And you actually have conversations with, like, Hera, who's the head of a witch coven at one point.
Like I said, I downloaded the first audiobook, so I will try it in the end of May because I'm interested.
Oh, they're so
Yeah, I just put the first one on my wish list on Amazon.
Lori will tell you I got her hooked on it, and it's our favorite series to discuss together.
Because I love the Shadowhunters. If you say Shadowhunters, I'm interested.
And to explain the werewolf packs, if it's a god pack werewolf, they have blue in their eyes. And the one in here has Fenrir, the spirit of Fenrir, inside of his head.
Ooh, interesting.
But that is all we've got today, guys.
And before we sign off real quick, I just want to mention we will be having a guest host for a sort of dragon. Yes. His name is Josh from Bookish Daddy. We don't have a date yet set, but hopefully this coming week we'll have a date set, and it will be on the Instagram page for Fiction Falls. So
awesome.
Keep an eye out for that.
And I hope everybody joins us on this weird journey of us trying an epic fantasy for the first time. These 3 picks we chose for this round, we had YA, we're going into an adult epic fantasy, and then June will be reading a manhwa. So it's an interesting journey for us.
Yeah.
So
I hope a lot of different stuff this year.
We decided let's dip our toes in everything and see what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
But Thank you, Jess, for joining us. This
Thank
was
you for
so much
inviting me.
fun. Um,
Mhm.
I was gonna say something and forgot what I was gonna say. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. Go follow Jess and Amanda. They are linked down below if you're not following them. They are both amazing and have amazing channels. And you'll get a lot of good recommendations, especially if you love romantasy from Jess down there. Go check out all of hers because that's where Amanda and I get a lot of our recommendations. And I'm pretty sure a
Mhm.
lot of this year's picks come from
Yay!
her videos.
They really do. And also, I recommend if you ever decide you want to join her Patreon, she is so much fun to hang out with in the Patreons. And we have amazing people in there as well. So come join us if you want.
You guys make it great. Such a good group.
But you guys all have a wonderful day. Remember to embrace your inner rainbow, take care of your mental health, hydrate or mummify, as they say, and remember to have a fabulously gay day. And until next time, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
And in broadcast.